Hi everyone, welcome back to another wonderful episode of INCI with Rinki, and thank you everyone for tuning in. So today we are peeling back on one of the most elusive topic, and that is beauty manufacturing. You see those sleek bottles, those luxury serums, and those high-tech claims. But have you ever wondered where are those getting made, or what goes behind before it comes to you? What happens before those beautiful campaigns? Who actually make the product that you love and cherish forever? Well, today we are taking you inside the world of contract manufacturing, where innovation meets business. Joining me today are true insider Dan Williams, CEO of Orean, a leading private level manufacturer with a simple yet powerful mission that I love: build beauty better. I truly love their mantra because I believe we can, we do, and we care. Orion has been the driving force for some of your most favorite brands. I can't tell name, but I know the wonderful products they actually bring to the market. They help transform the ideas for those best-selling formulation and millions, and I mean it. But how much does the brand control actually have? And how much actually comes from the contract manufacturing side? What separates a high end product from a budget friendly one? Is there really much of a difference from a formula aspect? And what truly means by the word private label? Is it much easy to understand? Well, let's get to understand today. Dan, over to you. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Rinki. It's quite the intro.
Course, I love working with Orion. I have to say to all my listeners, I had opportunity to work with Orion team, and I have worked with like roughly 30 plus contract manufacturers in North America and Europe. And I love your team, the people element of it. I understand it's a business to business, B2B relationship, but the people aspect of it and the warmth of it that truly has taken me away and like stayed with me, because we have problems, we have shocks. That's why we are like the beauty industry is all about. We will always have external shocks, but how you navigate it, it's like truly makes the experience really wonderful. So over to you. Tell me about like what actually helps you lead the team that you have, and like how do you have taken this business forward, and like what Orients means to you.
Yeah, I think everyone who knows me and knows the industry, they probably know how much Orean means to me, actually, and vice versa from that side. But I've been with the company for over 12 years now, and I was lucky enough when I joined, it was very much in its infancy, and I was fortunate enough to be surrounded by some amazing people. And it was at that point I realised that I never wanted to be a bottleneck for communicating with customers. We've got so many talented people that really care that we just wanted to give everyone a platform to like show their expertise and to talk to the brands and really build those relationships literally across departments. And I think that's been the bedrock of everything that we do from that side. I'm not I'm not technically blessed or anything like that, but I do love supporting people and trying to get the best out of people. So I think just trying to give them platforms and really just surrounding myself with experts makes it very simple. But yeah, I think that's where the customers get the benefit from talking with the team.
Of course, yeah, and like I can truly resonate that because I have been privileged to be on the other side of the water. So, like, yeah, I remember how much I loved working with you. But for like today's listeners, let's start with a beginning and a very important question. If I'm a brand and I want to build my own line and I want to launch a skincare line or hair care, what level of customization is available? Can I bring my own formula? Do I have to choose from Orion stock formula? Or I don't have an R&D team and I want to start fresh? How can Orion be my partner?
Yes, we essentially work in all these different ways. I'd say across the board, some people come to us and they've worked with a formulator and they've formulated a product, and they'll come to us being very prescriptive to say, "I've had this formulated. These are the raw materials. These are the suppliers we've got to use. Can you make it?" And then we can work from there. I'd say that approach has always been around, less so at the beginning, but it's been probably a little bit more frequent than ever before. We've had other brands coming to us that have been working with maybe another manufacturer they formulated and they want to transfer it across. But the real bedrock of our business has always been built on the formulating from a brief. When I say a brief, sometimes that's again very prescriptive, or sometimes we can all get in a room together and talk through the ideas that are in people's heads and get it out there. But from a scope as to what's possible, it's like a blank slate for us. So just understanding markets you want to sell in. What's the purpose of the formulation? What's the target consumer? What are they looking for? Then we can work with our team. We've got 6 development chemists, we've got
Oh,
technicians.
wonderful.
Yeah, they are super talented. But then I would say that because I'm quite biased, but I think they're really exciting. But yeah, we really drill into what texture people want, and again, that varies quite a lot. The actives that we want to put in there. So essentially, we formulate everything bespoke and bespoke to the brand partners that we work with, and that's the bit that we love doing.
Oh, lovely. I personally believe customization is key when like launching a new brand. While based on like the brand's needs, sometimes stock formulas can be a quicker to market route, or even tweaking an existing formula. EPDs of our world is equally important as your NPDs, because sometimes EPDs are much more of a strategic move. You have a body wash which is very successful for you. You want to launch in a different fragrance variant. Like I think like Elemis have done it wonderfully with their like pro cleansing balm. I'm a personally a huge fan, and they launched like the green fig last year, or even the cherry one. So which are equally successful, yet being much more like a classic formula. So I think like both works, but there is a trade off from a time and cost perspective and testing perspective. So there is a pros and cons, and as long as the brand does that weighted average, I think it's okay. So, but if I have to do a custom formula, how can I formulate with you? And I'm gonna ask like the most asked question, and it's like something a lot of brand owners dread. Who covers the R&D cost? And is it possible to get an exclusive agreement that no other brand can actually take that formula if it is like done with you? And can you address the cost piece? Because I think like a lot of people want to understand that.
Yeah. Um, this, I think, is at the point where people have called. I'm sure I get called lots of names from time to time, but in this situation, definitely been called crazy. Um, so I can't speak on behalf of all manufacturers in this sense in our industry, but we've definitely got a super unique approach. When the brands come to work with us, we do a lot of due diligence to make sure that we're the right fit for the brand partner, and equally that we're the right fit for them.
Yeah.
It goes both ways. If we've all established that at that point, we don't want to charge anyone for product development. So that's
Really?
yeah. So and when I say that, some people say that we don't charge it either, but then there's other questions that come with it. So I'll come on to that in a second. But yeah, so there's no upfront fees. We don't charge for any product development, and then we just work really closely on that. And again, a lot of it comes back to we've done as much due diligence as we can. We want to make sure that we're going to work on something that has the potential to have longevity and go with there. So we don't really put well, it's actually because we put all the value on the relationship. So we want the repeat sales, and we want to grow the relationship over the next 3, 5, 10, 25 years, ideally. So by just being opportunistic and essentially just invoicing someone for some lab times, it doesn't feel the right fit. We're essentially a contract manufacturer, not a product development house. So we're going to make our money from that repeat purchase. So that's how we work. There's no strict number of iterations you can do on those formulations, or a limit to the number of SKUs, but on average, we tend to get things approved on the 3rd to 4th submission around that time. And from brief to product launch can take on average about 9 to 12 months, because we don't charge anyone for the product development. The next question that always follows when I explain this is like, well, who owns the IP then?
Oh
Assuming,
yeah, that was my second
oh,
question.
okay, there you go.
You actually
So,
got it right. Because like who does the IP sits with? It's like somebody, it's like let's say, I mean, like there are all kinds of people. And like me working in the industry, I have seen like the good and the bad side. So I that is wonderful that Orion doesn't charge for the development fees, but there are significant amount of time and money involved, and I want to like explicitly do that. And if you are doing that as a manufacturing partner, first of all, I personally think that's a quite unique proposition. And I haven't seen that as a much more common practice in the industry. I just want to like clarify that. I think it's really wonderful because it is like you are seeing the value of the partnership. That's what you're valuing, and the value of growth of somebody starting fresh now. Like you are in that journey from the scale of like 5,000 to the millions because you want to grow with them. And I truly
Ours
think
is
that's
two and
like
a half
quite,
actually. So we've
of
reduced
course.
our minimum order quantities down from 5 to 2.5 as well. And then we forgot to tell people that we could scale. So 2,500 to 2.5 millions, like our MOQ spectrum. And we've got
Oh, lovely.
and we can do that at our UK site or the US site. So yeah. Oh,
Well,
so
that's sorry, like yeah, I think like that's quite wonderful. So I think I was going to ask, like manufacture comes with a lot of financial constraints, and like we live in the world of like MOQs. We have MOQs for packaging, for raw materials. So it's like, what's your like band for like from a scalability perspective? Because once like when it's like until like somebody comes from a bigger conglomerate where a lot of budget and funding is available, a lot of startups struggle of like starting something like 25K or 50K. So it's like having that flexibility. You mentioned like 2500, that is I think superly unique. So brands or the brand owners who are thinking of taking the plunge of creating their own brand and struggling for like finding a low MOQ partner, Orion is to go. So I think like that's really wonderful. So like how does like let's take it a step further on like how does it impact pricing for somebody who is doing a 25,000 units to like a million unit a year? How is that pricing and the impact on the cost of goods? Like let's explain it to our listeners.
yeah, cool. Can I just be really cheeky and also say, because we talked about the IP ownership, and
Oh yes.
I just really wanted to get that across. So and then we'll come back onto the pricing for the different MOQs. So when people ask who owns the IP, because we work with a lot of people that are brand founders, and they're starting up their business, and they've got a view to build that and either raise equity and
Yeah.
investment in it, or at one point flip the brand. The big thing for me is they're going to have to put all their value on IP. I think most people have seen Dragon's Den, and one of the questions that get asked all the time is like, who owns the IP on
Yes.
this? So we like unashamedly we want the brands to own the IP. The moment
Wow.
so at the moment a brand's paid for their first purchase order, we transfer that IP ownership over completely. And then that again, that's where people think we're a little bit insane, but we don't put the value on the IP. The brand should have the value on the IP. We put the value on the long-term partnership and relationship. So we just try and make everything as easy as possible and break down as many barriers as possible to make the whole relationship as easy as possible. Then hopefully that's going to see you in good stead, and you're going to build it and just get closer and go from there from that side. So that's the IP bit. Now going back to the minimum order quantities, we reduced that down originally during a pandemic because we were conscious that cash flow was going to be really important for existing brands. Everything else that's happening, I completely agree. And we like to really get under the skin of the brands that we work with and really understand them. And we like using trend analysis, AI, supplier data, and really helping drive proactive MPD. And we find by offering MOQs of 2,500 units, that really allows brands to almost try things on a D2C platform. If that's working, they can approach the retailers. They've got proof of concept. So all that kind of stuff can see them in good stead. And then I think from a costing perspective, obviously 2,500 units is definitely more expensive. Wastage tends to be higher. You're really not bedding in the efficiencies of the run rates, but we try and be as competitive as possible. So you've got that to contend with. Then from 2.5, 5, 10s, 25, the big changes you really see. There's a difference between 2.5s to 5. You might be around like a 5% mark around that level. When you get to the 10s and 25s, you might see another 5% reduction. Then I think as you're getting a little bit bigger from that and you're really scaling, your line efficiencies get a lot better. Your
Absolutely.
purchasing price of raw materials, the actives, everything else that goes into it, you start getting better buying power. But I think a lot of the brands that we work with anyway, even at the smaller levels, are getting the benefits of our buying power from that because we're dealing with so many different brands. And there are in a lot of instances from base type formulations, you get some more commodity materials. It's really when you get into the brand specific actives or complexes,
Yeah.
that's where it's getting a little bit tighter on the cost. But I think, yeah, you just see, you definitely see it from trying to give a range is really difficult because
No,
customers.
I understand. It's like quite bespoke.
Mhm.
I know. I like from an MOQ perspective. I personally have worked with like big and small brands, and like I have done in like 100,000 units or a million pieces. I also have done in the sets of 10K. So I totally understand, and I think a lot of people do not understand. There are like whether you're buying a raw material, whether you're buying a packaging, like there are breaks that actually works, and like which has a huge impact to the top and bottom line. So a 20p lesser when you're buying a packaging can change your margin like drastically. Your top line margin can like change
Yeah,
drastically. And like I think it is really, really nice on the community side, as you mentioned, because there are materials like glycerine or citral alcohol which may be used across like your multiple different clients, which may be used across so many SKUs or so many formulas, because you have a price advantage. For like brand buying their own material, they will be buying, let's say, 5 kilo, 10 kilo, 100 kilo, whatever bespoke to the formula. But when you're buying for your hundreds plus formula and your volume bill goes up from your annual purchase quantity, you are able to like give that like pricing break back to the brand. So I think it is a unique advantage. I have to say, I have not always seen across all contract manufacturing to give that back to the brand, but I definitely have seen with your team, so I can vouch for it.
excellent. Thanks.
So perfect. So let's get to our next question. Once the formula is ready, what is the typical time between like production to like delivery to the brand warehouse? And are there seasonal fluctuations? And how do you handle those uncertain deliveries?
Yeah, I think from a seasonal fluctuation, we don't really see that so much because we have so many different people, it's so many different, sorry, brand partners um, that we're working with. We don't work with retailers directly, so we don't really see these seasonal bumps from like the buy-ins and stuff like that. We work specifically just with brand owners. We don't have our own brand either, so we don't really see that. So it's pretty flat. We tend to see a build towards the back end of the year historically. Around we probably do around 45% of our revenue in the first 6 months, and you see it building through the back end of the year, but not so much seasonal. I think the biggest challenge we often get is Chinese New Year and the
Oh, yeah.
shutdown, and it seems to always catch people out, despite obviously it being around for millennium, I guess. But yeah, it seems to always catch people out and throw a bit of a curveball. So that's one of the biggest challenges to navigate. So I think that aside, from sign off of formulations and from a raw purchase order coming in, we're probably anywhere lead times now are very dependent from the raw material suppliers and availability and packaging. So at that stage, and that can vary anywhere between 12, 16 to 20 weeks. In some instances, we surround ourselves with some amazing suppliers, and if a big opportunity is coming and we can do it sooner, like people will genuinely jump in hoops to help and support us from a supply basis. And again, that's across materials and packaging. But in the main, that 12, 16, 20 weeks tends to be the norm. Again, from how we support brands, though, if we happen to have the packaging available and raw materials all available and it was a repeat purchase, we don't fix our production plan next week until Thursday of this week. So we're always
Oh,
operating at around 50 to 60% of capacity. So we've always got the opportunity to respond, because a lot of the brands that we work with now just get really quick opportunities presented to them, like arriving
yes.
on their desk with, and it could be a beauty box has been let down by another brand, and someone's suddenly got a really urgent opportunity that they can try and fulfill. And obviously, it's in everyone's interest if we can help respond to that. So, yeah, we try and operate in a way that we've always got that capacity available, and that's the reason we don't fix our plan. It's great for building relationships and helping customers. Operationally, it comes with their own challenges, but everyone really is bought in as to why we do it, and it's very much one of our USPs, which I'm pretty proud of, to be honest.
No, I think this is amazing because like beauty trends like are like so fast moving and like missing those crucial retail windows, and like whether it's like a retailer's advent calendar or a beauty box. I think like I personally have always seen that like you always will put, like if it is a mid-sized brand, you would put like your like a planning and forecasting that quarterly we will do like a 10K or a 25K replenishment,
Yeah.
and then suddenly there is a US beauty box that opens and you need 100,000 pieces. Like, obviously, it's a good problem to have because you're going to sell 100,000 pieces, going to like reach to 100,000 customers. But to absorb that shock, to get like ingredient shortage and like to sort it out, and that unexpected demand spikes, like to navigate to those problems, good problems from a brand point of view. I think it's great that like your team does the planning on like every Thursday, that as you
Yeah.
mentioned, that is even from a line perspective, it's like how do you handle, like do you, how many lines generally you have that you can like accommodate that kind of like sudden shocks in our industry.
It'd be really nice if that sudden shock was once a quarter or something. But because we work with so many different brands, it's almost like weekly, and we have as many customers trying to push out orders because demand might have shrunk down a little bit. So we try and accommodate that where we can, but equally we have as many trying to pull forward as well. So it's just a constant ebb and flow, to be quite honest, and it's pretty intense. But yeah, from a production capability, we have four high-speed lines. They can be doing your bottles, your jars, glass, aluminium, plastic, those kind of products. We've got four tube filling lines. They can do plastic tubes, aluminium tubes. We've got a contract packing area, hot fill area, cooling tunnels. So we can tend to run most of the products on multiple lines as well. So we've always got that ability to flex. But yeah, and our ops team are constantly looking at the next thing to see how we can increase that capability. Which is quite exciting from that side. But yeah, I think our whole business through manufacturing vessels and operationally lines is built on that flexibility that we can give to our brand partners.
No, I think that is really, really amazing, and I think that we are constantly live in the world of external shocks, and like ingredients go shortage suddenly, and like it's not available on the face of earth, and it's like struggles, and it can be a raw material that you're buying for years, and like suddenly it's gone missing. Like having a manufacturing partner who is respondent and like ability to flexible enough to absorb those shocks, I think it's very crucial, and especially for brands which are starting out today, who are not so well versed into the world of manufacturing, because most of the time the startups do not understand from a very beginning what goes behind those cartons, and like there are how many steps and like the critical points in the before from the concept to launch. So having a responsible equal partner is, I think it's really a good asset for any brands to have. So like kudos to all your brand partners. I think they have somebody really unique, and I hope they understand the value. I can clearly see the value myself. So
Also, I think the whole industry itself is like super supportive because when you were just talking about raw material availability, definitely since the pandemic, I'd say more than ever, manufacturers are really actually supportive of one another. So if people can't get hold of raw materials, I don't know, seasonality or
yes.
just demands flex, there's a lot of open communication now between different manufacturers to see if we can help one another out and see if other people have got stock. And that's been great. And I would say 8 or 9 years ago that wasn't really the case. People weren't doing that so much, but it feels like with the supply chain issues, everything that's gone on, Brexit, European wars,
Yeah.
the pandemic, everything, the cost of living crisis. It feels like everything that's happened has just kind of like cemented the whole industry and brought everyone together, which has been good.
Oh, I think like that is like I think it's a complete like news to me. It's like because like like all the contract manufacturers, whether it's UK or whether it's US, it's a quite cutthroat business, and they're like all competitors to each other. So if you're telling me like each of the manufacturings, they're coming hand in hand to support each other, I think that is a huge change in the industry. Like for us being harmonious as like we are all as a bigger part of the team, and let's all serve our consumer. So I
Yeah,
think that's like really, really wonderful. And like I think it's such a unique piece of information that I'm able to learn today. It's definitely is the way forward, because it's finally it's beyond competition. We are human first, and that human first approach, I think it's truly unique.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
with that being said, I'm going to go to my next question, which is every brand identity is crucial. So how does each brand can bring forward to your stage from branding and packaging? So if I'm a new brand and I want to like, or I'm a existing brand and I'll come to you, does Orion offer a in-house packaging design and labeling services, or what are your options from the packaging point of view?
Yeah, so we have a packaging sourcing team. So again, from brief and sitting down together and understanding exactly what we're looking for, we can then go out and have a look in the market to see what's around. So the team, they visit all the trade shows. We actually had a supplier day as well. So we invited existing and new suppliers to come and have a chat with us and just see what's available from that side. So the only, I'd say, and then, from a label perspective, obviously we can then guide you on print areas and label areas. The only thing we really don't get involved with is the branding itself.
Okay.
But I have a phenomenally talented global innovations director, Daniel Campbell, who you've met, who is super passionate about all things creative. Actually, he's not only passionate, super talented, but he he loves to help people, so he'd happily give feedback, give guidance and direction, all that kind of stuff. But we really want to play to our strengths, which is this contract manufacturer, an innovation house for product development, and we really want to leave the branding and the marketing of the actual products themselves to these founders and experts. That tends to be most of their background. Like they really know what they want. We just want to be there to complement it and support it and help deliver on their vision and dreams. Really.
Perfect. Well, that's very well said, I have to say. So, like brands who are looking to create their identity, I think as long as they get the guidance, or even to like, the pieces of the puzzle to like plug in to the right partners to find like the right sourcing and the right price point. So the cogs and the margin and overall business works. I think that's really wonderful. So over to my next question. Regulatory landscape is very tricky, and but compliance is like non-negotiable. So from an ingredient safety to claim substantiation, we definitely can't skip regulatory at all, unless anybody wants a legal trouble, which I'm pretty sure nobody wants it. And certifications adds credibility. So whether it's like B Corp certification, it requires like extensive documentation and like testing. So how does Orion come as helping the brand partner, whether they are looking for certification like B Corp, organic, cruelty free, FDA registration, with especially like now in US, MOCRA coming into play? How does Orion can assist like a brand's regulatory journey?
Yeah, we have a compliance and regulatory team actually, and that's headed up by Paulina, who again, it sounds like I'm just saying everyone that I work with is super talented, but they are super talented. She's
They
got a
are.
way of attending seminars, shows, reading big dossiers, and diluting that down into a very digestible and easy form to read. So she does that with her team, and we just ensure that when we're getting product briefs, we know the markets that brands want to sell in. We know the retailers they want to sell in to make sure blacklists, etc., everything's working, making sure that all the correct information is present on the labels or on the
Yeah.
captions, however it might look. And we've actually just recently completed a full, almost like a compliance and regs Bible, which we share now with the brands that we work with, just to give them a lot more guidance from that. And we're having a regular newsletter. I think it goes out monthly or quarterly at the moment. So anything new that's happening in the industry, we can pull that together on just a one pager. We can send out to the clients, explains what we're doing, what they need to be doing and considering. Yeah, we just try and make sure that everyone's at the forefront of what's happening and what's moving, especially when it comes to the formulating new, to make sure that we can see what might be happening in the next 18, 24, 36 months. So when we're formulating, we've got that in mind. So you're almost future proofing it as much as you can, but as you know,
Absolutely.
probably better than me, like some changes come up instantly and there's curveballs that are coming up all the time. And then it's just about how we can work with the clients to make it as seamless as easy
Yes.
as error proof as possible.
Perfect. Yes, I think like we live in the world where regulatory is like a changing landscape. I think it changed faster than the trends of our world, and like then we are in the process of like NPDs where we want to like scope as much as in the future, because we are like starting probably formulation today for launch next year or the year after based on like the brandscape. But you have to think, okay, what gonna change in 2027? So when my products launch, they are still like relevant and compliant. So I think like that's
Absolutely.
where like the journey begins, and then like how to pivot the existing formulas to still stay relevant. So I think that's like really nice, and I think like we would like it is really wonderful that you send out the newsletters to your client. I think like it's because it's not always possible from a brand's end to stay on the top of like what's happening around the world, so having a snapshot definitely helps.
Yeah.
Then over to my next question, which is like, what's a common industry shortcut or a cost cutting trick that you actually can share with the listeners, which most consumers would be shocked to learn about?
I don't, I don't think it's a cost cutting element that they'd be shocked about. I think it genuinely from when you hear going back to cereals and things like that, where, oh, I bet these Asda own Frosties are the same as Kellogg's Frosties and they're made in the same factory, just branded differently. I think that is a perception across the board. I think I've heard people say there's nothing special about this cream compared to this cream and etc. But to actually see what I genuinely think they'd be shocked about is the sheer detail and the minutia that gets sweated where these brand founders, these MPD teams, they leave no stone unturned. They're not only on the formulation, but the packaging, the functionality. Um, do they like the way the cap feels as it's getting undone? The branding, trying to maximize on, I don't know, label areas. The level of work and detail that these brands put into the formulations and the packaging execution, I think would blow everyone away. I think a lot of people might feel that they're just settling on a formulation. Now that feels nice. We can sell that and make some money. We can charge extra amounts, etc., etc. But the, I get blown away by it all the time. I think it's phenomenal. And even then, the negotiations that go into it to make sure that they can give their consumer the best product that they possibly can at the best price,
Yeah.
I think it's insane. And I literally I see that firsthand how much is going into there. So I think that would be the biggest shot. If I was a just a consumer looking into it, you might genuinely think that it's quite an easy process. But yeah, that the level of work that goes into it, I think, is mind blowing.
Yes, I totally like me working both in the mass side of the business, the massest mass as well as the prestige beauty. I can truly understand what goes behind. We live in the world of like TikTok and Instagram where there is a high-end product and there is a dupe version, and there are a lot of videos about the dupe. So I am gonna, because you see these products like from behind the scenes and like firsthand even before they're going to the market. So I'm gonna ask you like one simple question. It's like, what is the real difference between a high-end product and an affordable one? What's clearly sets them apart? Because you as a manufacturer have done like really prestige product as well as mass product at your own factory. So what are the key differences you see them from your point of view?
Oh my goodness! It's so when you do go into some of these retailers that have done the dupes, clearly, when I was just talking about them really sweat, that's that's happening less in those situations. We don't do any of these dupe formulations for those type of retailers, to be quite honest. But yeah, that's very different. And I think as a consumer, you can definitely go into these stores and see the dupes and look at the actual brand. And of course, on the face of it, they might look a bit similar. But again, it comes back to, but if you pick up the packaging and you can feel it, you can tend to feel a difference in the quality and the cost.
Yeah.
Even as simple as how does it feel to unscrew a cap and screw it back on? Like there's fundamental differences from that side. And then I think these dupe mass brands, when you're really looking at it from the formulation, of course, it might be a moisturizer
Yeah,
and it may contain this material, but it's the efficacy. I would genuinely just say the texture. Um, Again, coming back to people don't just say, "Oh, this moisturizer, it's white and glossy, looks nice, feels great, and it's got that material in it." Like none of the brands we work with are like that. They want to know when they put it on the skin, how long does it take to absorb? How does it feel when they're applying
absolutely.
it? How does it feel when it's layered with this product? There's so much more work that goes into it. So I think, and to get to those levels, there it is more costly. You know, you're using certain materials that are helping out with that, the look and the feel, the rheology and the texture of that product, the level of the actives that are in it to make sure that you can be ensuring that if a product, if a consumer buys into it and they're going to use it for a period of time, the benefits are really going to be this. And I think
Absolutely.
that's the main difference. I think anyone could and actually, I was going to say one can make a product that looks or smells nice and it feels okay, and I think you can. But even the difference in a fragrance, like the top notes, the bottom notes, how long
Oh,
it's going to last
absolutely.
on the skin, like these are the differences, and that's genuinely why these products out there are going to cost a lot more money than these cheaper alternatives. There's a place for both, though, right? I definitely believe in that, but that whole piece and the work that goes into it on these ones and leaving no stone unturned again, I think that's the main difference.
No, of course. Like I personally believe like beauty need to be democratized, and like I truly believe that there are some certain brands who are offering great value of products at a great price. There are premium products that actually features better texture, advanced delivery system, even like patented ingredients, and some are truly legendary for a good reason. And there are like good affordable options, and there are section of consumer who would buy that budget friendly options, and that's completely fine. But I truly believe as a cosmetic scientist, you get what you pay for. So I think like everything exists for a reason.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
I'm gonna finish with like a very strong question. Private labeling world, there is a lot of misconceptions, especially to the consumer side. So what's one myth that you as a CEO of a private labeling company, what you want to break or debunk that myth? What one myth that you would like to debunk today?
Um, from a from a contract manufacturer side, I think it's as simple as like, well, all the formulations are the same, and it's as simple as that. I think that would be the biggest myth I would try and debunk. If you can think about it, when I talked earlier about having a team of 6 chemists, it would
Yeah,
be ludicrous to bring in some really talented people that want to create really exciting formulations, new and unique, but then just go, but this is the base formulation you're going to be using for everything, and all we're going to do is put a
yeah.
different fragrance in it and go from there. It's everything. I think everything's just bespoke, and I just think that efficacy thing's like really important. I think that's the biggest myth I did, but I don't really. Yeah, and actually, from even showing people around that have never been to a contract manufacturer and have got no idea, I think that's the biggest thing. And when they see the array of different formulations and products that we can make, they're very much, wow, they are really different, aren't they? When they start understanding them, because I think that's just one of those misconceptions that people have that it's just the same thing branded differently, maybe with a different fragrance.
Yes, I truly agree. I think one of the biggest myth in like the consumer industry, and until you are a true insider, you don't know that not all private label products means low quality. Some of the really successful and biggest brand on earth actually do not have their own manufacturing system. They use the private label manufacturers, but there are really strong formulas, clinically high performing formula, high performance claim. Only the branding makes them different. So if you are a brand and you're looking for a private label manufacturer, you can truly see success with the right partnership. I think you have to find the right partnership, so like choose carefully and choose wisely, and you can definitely see the success.
Absolutely.
So yeah, with like that being said, I think like that's a wrap for today.
Okay.
Dan, everything you said, that's definitely is incredibly insightful. Thank you so much for demystifying the world of private label manufacturing for us. So anyone who is looking to build their own brand, or any brand who's looking for a different private label manufacturer, you know where to find Orean. I leave all in my YouTube description for this particular video. I'll leave the contact there. They're also available in LinkedIn, so feel free to reach out to them. And choosing the right manufacturing partner is equally important as choosing your life partner, I would say that. So together you can build beauty better.
I've been with L'Oreal longer than my life partner, so yeah, I choose wisely. Yeah, no, absolutely. Thanks for having me, Rinki. I really appreciate it.
Of course. So if you have enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe INCI with Rinki, leave a review, leave a like, share with anybody who would find this information useful. If you're thinking the launching a new brand, don't wait for it. Take the deep plunge and finding your right partner. So until next time, stay curious, keep questioning, and let's build beauty together. Thank you.